Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video, we will be covering part 8 of my Ninjago Hot Takes series. This is, of course, the series of videos where I ask you guys, the audience, to submit your own personal spicy Ninjago takes, and we will discuss them on today's video. Now, granted, we're not going to be able to get through everybody's hot take, because we had over 1.3 thousand different takes in the comments of the most recent hot takes post. First of all, thank you so much for the rather big turnout. We had about 2.2 thousand likes with 1.3 thousand comments. Like I said, that is a pretty respectable turnout for this hot take series, so thank you guys very much. But like I said, we will not be able to get through everybody's, so I'm going to be picking a few in particular that I would very much like to talk about. As mentioned, these are Ninjago hot takes. These are not supposed to be opinions that everybody will agree with, and as such, you will probably see opinions in today's video that you will not agree with. For a quick disclaimer, please do not go out of your way to attack or harass anybody whose name will be showcased on screen. We will be showcasing very specific usernames, and I don't really want any of these people to be attacked or harassed, if you will, for their controversial opinion. That's exactly what these takes are supposed to be. They're supposed to be kind of controversial or unexpected, to say the least. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Without further ado though, let's go ahead and check out the first hot take, and like I said, I will read through it and give my personal thoughts on it, deciding of course whether or not I agree or disagree with these takes. Let's get started. So for our first hot take this go around, we have this comment. Hot take, they ruined Nia by giving her the power to waterbend. The whole thing with Nia was to show that you didn't need powers to be cool. This is interesting. I mean, a lot of people really enjoy Nia as the water ninja. I personally think that Nia is perfectly fine being a water elemental, but yeah, she wasn't introduced as a water elemental. That aspect of her character kind of showed up a little randomly. I mean, in one season she doesn't have any powers, and then the next season Master Wu is telling her that she does have powers. It did kind of seem like Ninjago jumped the gun a little bit with Nia's powers, but I do feel like her place as the water ninja has been established and has been obviously protected ever since. I feel like her Samurai X identity is much more suited to that of Pixel. That way there still is a character that represents the aspect of being cool without powers. Ever since Wildbrain took over, it's been the bare minimum when it comes to character development. We saw some with Cole and Nia, but it's been lackluster. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy what this amazing show has to offer, but I've been pretty disappointed lately with the storyline. In terms of character development, we will be talking about that a little bit more in today's video, so stay tuned if you want to hear some more thoughts on that. But in regards to only seeing Cole and Nia getting character development, I feel like those two have gotten the most attention, and both of those characters have been well deserving of that attention for years now. I feel like seasons like Master of the Mountain and Seabound have been years in the making. In terms of the disappointing storyline as of late, not too sure about that. I've personally been enjoying what Ninjago has been putting out lately, especially following Master of the Mountain. The island is kind of, you know, it exists, it's the island, but Seabound was really good in my opinion. So I don't fully agree with this statement, though I do agree that there has to be some more solid development for these characters, and all of the ninja should get that, not just very specific ones. The worst decision they've ever made was to change from 20-minute episodes to 10 minutes. The seasons all feel rushed, and the quality of the animation can't save the poor writing. This comment was very interesting to me because, for one, it complements the quality of the animation, which is obviously a hot take in and of itself, but also the poor writing. Like I just said, I feel like Ninjago storytelling has been decent lately. It's had some hiccups for sure, but seasons like Master of the Mountain and Seabound have proven that the shorter length of Ninjago episodes isn't really guaranteed to bring a bad story. So again, I do kind of find this comment interesting, all things considered. The writers are dumbing down the characters more and more each season. Any development made in previous seasons is erased in favor of silly situations and boring side characters that won't stick around. Though I do agree that the side character trope kind of needs to end. I feel like some of those side characters should definitely stick around. I'm not super on board with the whole dumbing down of the characters idea. I can see why people would say that, because like I said, the show is definitely more light in terms of tone nowadays as it was back in Ninjago's heyday, or even during the Oni trilogy. And I feel like the ninja might make various decisions based off of the lighter tone, though I don't think that is reflective of the intelligence of the ninja themselves. I feel like they're still fine characters. It's obvious that they've retained a lot of the experience from previous seasons, but I do understand how it could seem like the writers are dumbing down the characters. Nia should have been the Green Ninja. She had all the perfect character traits and it would have just been better for the story. Yeah, if Lloyd was never introduced, I feel like Nia would have been the Green Ninja. I never really thought that they would make any of the already established ninja the Green Ninja. Really didn't make all that much sense to me as a child watching Ninjago, and like I've said in previous videos, I thought for a long time that Nia would have been the Green Ninja. But obviously Lloyd became the Green Ninja, and I'm not super upset about that. I feel like that's acceptable. forgettable. Season 8 is really forgettable. Like, even after watching the entire thing, I can only remember the first episode, that one episode on the bounty with Harumi, and the final episode. This comment kind of took me by surprise because I'm so used to people praising Sons of Garmadon, even though it had a lot of, I guess, mixed reception when it was coming out. A lot of those people that were kind of hesitant about Season 8 really did come to accept it towards the end. But in terms of it being forgettable, can't really agree there. I feel like Sons of Garmadon is a very solid storyline with brilliant cases of writing and development for the characters. Various twists and turns in this season make it very memorable for me, so I find it hard to agree with this statement. Vanya's a boring character. She's just the generic, I'm a princess, but I can unbraid my hair and use a sword ineffectively archetype with nothing built off of it. I can see how Vanya would come off as being a stereotype. I mean, how many times throughout several pieces of media do we see a character like this? A princess who appears frail on the surface, but deep down she's a skilled warrior, or at least she wants to be. She's thirsting for adventure. We've seen that character a lot of times before, but I feel like Princess Vanya in and of herself is a very respectable character. I find myself very much attached to Vanya, much more than some other side characters that we've seen thus far. Definitely a lot more than Akita or Scott for that matter. So I feel like Vanya just appeals to different people differently. Hottest of takes, Nia's sacrifice is totally pointless. The ninja have fought worse villains before. Let's be honest, Nia dumped Jay for the ocean. I mean, sure, there have been worse villains before, such as, for example, the Overlord, but Nia was not the center focus of those stories. This actually gave Nia a chance to find her own storyline and come into her own element, quite literally in this case, so I feel like Nia's sacrifice makes sense to an extent. I feel like it was also there to actually promote some actual consequences to the story, some actual stakes, so that's always refreshing to see. And even though the ninja had indeed faced worse villains outside of Kalmar and Wajira, Nia's sacrifice here meant a lot to her character personally. So yeah, in terms of Nia dumping Jay for the ocean, yeah, sounds about right. I think Cole should have been a master before Lloyd. He is way more compassionate and caring. We really got to see this when he was helping young Wu grow up. He gave me much more of a master vibe. I never really thought about that before, but that is interesting to think about. Out of all of the ninja, the person that Wu is probably closest to aside from Lloyd would be Cole for many reasons. Cole was one of the first ninja recruited, and yeah, during the whole Wu baby arc thing, Cole was basically his caretaker. So Cole becoming a master, that'd be interesting. If Lloyd was not part of the story, I have no doubt that Cole would have become a great master, and maybe that arc could have explored him aside from what we got with Lloyd in the actual main series. Hot take, shut the front door up about character development. Well, you see, character development is kind of important for the story, and according to a lot of comments on this video and other videos, it seems like a lot of people have issues with character development. So yeah, we're gonna keep on talking about character development, though I do appreciate your contribution to this hot takes video. Thank you very much. Prime Empire is the worst Ninjago season ever in all aspects: plot, character development, suits, sets, vehicle design, etc. It's a complete waste of time. I feel like Prime Empire is one of the most ambitious seasons out there, and even though it's very average in terms of the Ninjago scene, I don't think it's terrible. Like I said, it's kind of mid-level Ninjago for me. I don't think Prime Empire is downright terrible, but I also think there are things that are better than it. So I don't feel like it was a complete waste of time. I thought it was a very unique way of telling a Ninjago story, though I do understand why it would not appeal to a lot of certain people. It's probably one of the biggest departures from the traditional Ninjago series. Hot take, I think they should not have made Cole and Kai's scuba suits. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. I think they should have made them, but they should have had them in the show as well. As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, Kai and Cole do have scuba suits for Seabound in the sets, but in the show they are nowhere to be found, making these suits technically non-canon, which ultimately drives collectors like myself crazy, especially when we base our collections off of what's canon to the show and what's not. This is kind of a sticky situation. I feel like these scuba suits should have appeared in both the sets and the show. That way everybody's happy. These two takes I kind of put together because they are kind of focused around the same thing, and that is Ninjago world building and Ninjago running out of ideas. Two very common complaints that we see a lot in the Ninjago community. The first one reads, hot take, Ninjago has amazing world building. And the second one states, Ninjago is not running out of ideas, it's expanding its lore, and if seasons have similar storylines or characters, cough cough, snakes, then it just adds to to the overall world of Ninjago. I do agree with both of these statements. For one, Ninjago has always had amazing world building, even though a lot of people like to complain that they are constantly running out of ideas, which is where the second take comes in. In terms of similar ideas, we've seen that before in Ninjago. We've also seen ideas that aren't all that great, but in terms of Ninjago running out of ideas, I don't think they are. They're just adding more and more. They're making the world bigger, which is great. It's nice to see the world expand, even if some parts of that expansion aren't all that great or are kind of lackluster compared to some other expansions. Either way, I don't think Ninjago is running out of ideas, despite what a lot of comments would have you believe. Hot take, I don't like the Weekend Whip. It's so overused and it gives me cringe. Actually, the only songs that I like from the fold are Day of the Departed and the ones that are not for Ninjago. I do admit that the Weekend Whip is kind of cheesy, but that's what makes it fun. I really like the Weekend Whip as a theme song, and I've always liked the Weekend Whip as a theme song for Ninjago. Even though, like I said, it is very much a Ninjago song, it still is good to me. I like the song a lot, and I like all the various remixes that we've received, though I do agree that the Fold have some pretty cool songs that aren't for Ninjago. If you wanted to check out some of the Fold's other works, I recommend going beyond what they've made specifically for Ninjago. Like I said, a lot of those songs are really good. In terms of the Weekend Whip, that song is also really good in my opinion, and I find it difficult to agree with this take. I don't think it's cringy, if that makes sense. Cheesy, for sure, but cringy, probably not. Not really the word I would use to describe the Weekend Whip. Ninjago should have left Cole dead in Season 10 and ended Ninjago after that. March of the Oni's conclusion was very much an ending for Ninjago. We've seen a couple of those prior. There was one for Season 2. There was going to be an ending for Season 7, but that eventually fell through. But Season 10, March of the Oni, is one of those places where if Ninjago had ended, I don't think a lot of people would have been too upset about that. In terms of Cole being dead though, not too sure about that. I can't really see any other alternatives to Cole falling off the Destiny's bounty. I feel like that scenario was always supposed to be a fake out for trailers and to get fans talking about the new season. Hot take, the gimmicky one-off themed seasons, Skybound, Ghost Season, Ocean Season, Master of the Mountain, are much better than the basic ninja seasons, Sons of Garmadon and Seasons 1 and 2. I feel like the gimmicky seasons, if you want to call it that, provide a more unique tone to those specific seasons and make them stand out. For example, Possession was all about ghosts. Also in terms of Seabound, the ninja were fully underwater this time. We had seen the ninja underwater prior in previous seasons, but Seabound really capitalized on that theme. Those specific seasons hold very specific identities. I agree with this take for the most part, though I do admit that some of the basic ninja seasons, if you will, are also very good. The traditional Ninjago feel is nice to revisit every now and then, especially after having a very unique and spontaneous season such as Prime Empire or even Skybound. I strongly disagree with how some people excuse the writers of the newer seasons when they run out of ideas, saying that it's reasonable as the show has been running for more than 10 years. Some of Ninjago's ideas are very complex and definitely worth more development. The comment then goes on to give a very specific example, so I'll leave it on screen for a few more seconds so you guys can read that. But regarding what was initially said in this hot take, I don't feel like the writers are running out of ideas. I feel like there are definitely bad ideas, like I said earlier, or ideas that don't really seem all that great compared to other ideas that Ninjago had done prior, but I don't feel the Ninjago writers are running out of ideas, if that makes sense. I feel like weak ideas are still a thing, but in terms of Ninjago running out of ideas, as we talked about earlier, it's just a case of expanding the lore. Some ideas are going to be really good, while other ideas are going to be not so good, if that makes sense. So in terms of this take, I'm not really super on board with that, though I do really appreciate the suggestion that they put towards the bottom of their comment. Once again, here it is on screen for those of you guys that would like to read that. And with that being said, you guys, that'll pretty much wrap it up for this hot takes video here today. That's pretty much all we have time for in today's video. Thank you very much to everybody who submitted their own Ninjago hot takes. This series is always very fun to work on for me because I get to go through your comments and read what you guys have to say about Ninjago. But like the other videos in this series, we did not have time for everybody's. Do not worry though, we will continue this series in the future with part 9 coming on the horizon. So feel free to stay tuned for that part if you want another shot at being in a video such as this one. With that being said, guys, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today. Leave a comment down below talking about which hot take you thought was the spiciest and what are some of your other Ninjago hot takes that you may or may not have. Which comments do you agree with and which ones do you not agree with? Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments, you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That's going to do it for this one here today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description for other forms of social media. As always, big shout out goes out to my Patreon supporters, including once again the Marvelous Jan. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that I bid you farewell.